I've got a lot to say, can't hold it in this time. Got no filter, I got no filter. 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 No filter, I got no filter.
Pretty close here.
Hello and welcome to Paramotor Hangout on Tuesday night. I'm one of your hosts, Never Trust a Skinny Chef Shane, with Will and Cupcake Krista. And apparently there can't be two Marks on the show, so McElroy's out. Mr. Will, how's it going tonight?
Man, it is doing awesome. I'm looking forward to a great show. And I have to admit something that I screwed up. And I told Mark that the show was like last night. And I was thinking that it was the day before. I don't know. I totally got my dates mixed up. So, hey, I'm really glad that Mark and Alayna were able to join us.
Well, awesome.
This day works better for us anyways.
Yeah. Oh, good. Good.
Yeah, and my wife, Cupcake Krista, is working on her computer because I said if there's going to be another couple on here, we got to come on, and she hates being online, so she's working on her computer right here. You can kind of see her right here. But anyways, cool. We're working on that. Mark and Alayna, pleasure having you guys on tonight. Will told me that you guys were coming on tonight, and I was absolutely thrilled. Reasons you guys don't know yet, but I'm going to share with you here a little bit. How are you guys doing?
Pretty good. You?
I am doing fantastic. So I know Will has probably told you and a couple other people that it's the wife.
Blame it on the wife.
Oh, wife.
Well, they're figuring that out. Alayna, you're looking beautiful as normal. And Mark, your new haircut, dude, looks good.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I just was like, F it. I don't want it anymore.
That's the easiest freaking haircut to have. You just wake up and go. You know what I mean? No fuss, no muss, boom.
Yeah, it's so much nicer showering now. And I don't have all these like weird tendencies of long hair walking around in the wind or fixing it or brushing it.
Mm-hmm. What you guys been up to lately? Last time I saw you, I think Bad Apples, maybe.
We're going again this year.
Yeah, me too.
I saw you at
Moonshiners.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, that's a classic. Always go to for us.
You gonna hit it this year?
Oh yeah.
That's beautiful. The winds were not as squirrely as they were the year before. So I don't know.
Well, you're talking Mountain City.
Mountain City, yeah.
That was a rough one for me. Nothing bad happened. It almost happened bad, but that's a tough place to launch from when the winds are squirrely for sure.
Well, and the grass is always super wet in the mornings, and it's like one of the best fly-ins to watch people come in and slide in and eat it.
Slide.
When I flew from Asheville I went camping in Virginia. My route, like I'm flying along and I realized my route went right over Mountain City, Tennessee. So I looked down and saw the Moonshiners area. I guess I kind of knew ahead of time, but it snuck up on me on the trip.
If I'm flying over Mountain City, I'm not landing there because I'm not sure if I'm ever going to get off the ground again. But
yeah, well, with no one there, maybe it would be better.
No, I don't want to sell myself short. I mean, I'm not a great pilot, but I'm good enough. And that place just really challenged my experience, if you will. It was, I think I had. I'm normally good for 25, 30 launches with maybe one, maybe two fails in there somewhere in between. That was a 50-50, if not 60-40 on launches. I would set up into the wind and it would hit me in the back. I'd turn, it would hit me from the side. I'd turn and it hit me from where I started from originally. I just said, okay, I'll just stand here with my motor running, wait for the wind to turn back into my face. And I did figure that part out, but it was definitely a challenging field to take off from.
Yeah, that seems like one of the cons of mountain flying. But then once you're up in the air, it's like some of the prettiest flying is at Moonshiners. It's like worth it. You sat there and maybe set up 2 or 3 times to get yourself into the wind. But every time I've flown at Moonshiners, it's like epic.
Yeah. I mean that time, even when the winds were real squirrely that year, I had one failed launch, but when I launched, I didn't want to land. You know what I mean? I didn't want to take a chance of not getting back up because it's just so pretty. And last year they've got I don't know if you guys have done it, but they've got this huge lake that you can like fly to. You like fly around the mountain and then you come back down the valley. And then you come right back and you're right back at the airport. Beautiful.
If I'm thinking of the same lake, we flew out there with, it was like 2 or 3 years ago, we flew out there with a bunch of people in the morning, and Woody, like Woody's gamer tag, Woody was doing some wingovers or something, and he snapped an A-line and he had to make an emergency landing. And then Ross Gasaway made I guess like he was the emergency pickup person. He immediately flew back. He was the only one that like really saw it, and he flew back and went and picked him up. But I think that's the same lake that you're talking about.
Yeah, it's huge. Yeah,
Ross is the guy.
There was an older lady. I don't want to say old lady. There was an older lady who came out of her house. It was like a igloo house. I don't know if you guys saw that, but she was really excited to see us flying by when we flew over there. It looks like an igloo, like a golf ball, but a house.
Yeah, they've got some of those weird dome-shaped
houses. Yeah, but she came out and she was tickled. I mean, she like waved us, and I did a little swoop down by her and then climbed out, because in those valleys there's not very many outs, and it was a little concerning for me, but everything worked. The motor kept running, so I'm good.
What in the world? Nice. Yeah, I wonder if it was like a yurt, or like, I can't think of the name of the other type of house that they build that looks like a dome. There are like literal golf ball looking ones they use for like Airbnbs. Was it big, the house?
No, it wasn't that big at all.
You get that response in Ohio too.
Yes. We did. I that was the first. I think it was the second time we're coming back. Smart Car Brian and I, and in the middle of this field was this tiny little, probably 8-foot or 9-foot tree that had a gigantic black bear trying to climb to the top of it to get away from us. And so I spiraled down. I wasn't sure exactly what it was. I spiraled down, and when I realized, I climbed back up, and we all do dumb things. This is my dumb thing. So I look at Brian, who's pulled up next to me, and I'm like, bear. Like, how do you communicate without actual communication? You gotta do hand signals. So I'm doing the dumb bear sign. He's like, I saw it. So we kept on going. But yeah, I did think that was pretty cool. That was the second bear that I've seen from the air, but the other one was not that impressive. But
maybe that's the same one that attacked Caleb Rice. I don't know if y'all heard about that, but Caleb was out there at 4 a.m. in his underwear taking pictures of the stars, and all of a sudden a bear starts to come at him, and he runs away. He doesn't notice the table behind him. He falls into it, collapses the whole thing, and it's just like this whole thing at 4 a.m. People hear it. Like Brooke told me he heard it out of his trailer and was like, that was a weird noise, and then just went back to sleep.
But it was also like, I remember the next day he was telling us it was like this new table he bought from REI, and it was like awesome, and he just like flattened it, or like he fell on it and it just broke in half. Not fixable.
Caleb's a good dude. He's I don't know how long he's been flying, maybe like a year or something, but he does like
I
commercial
do
real estate.
I do remember that story because I heard it from maybe it was Sean Simons or somebody. Maybe it was Brooke. It was Brooke. Yeah,
Probably Brooke.
yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Told us about it. And then my wife, who is absolutely fascinated with bears,
Love them.
we do a lot of backpack camping and stuff, and we went on this one little place. It's called Black Bear Wilderness Trail, and we were getting ready to set up our hammocks and a couple tents. And as we're getting ready to set up, I noticed a big black bear eating palmetto berries underneath the palmettos. And I told her and a friend of ours to be quiet, to come over here. My wife, who promised me she would never like try to hug a bear or whatever, like a wild, for real bear, she's like, walks up, she's like, hi. The bear doesn't know what hi is.
You see him wave all the time. I think it knows.
Did you have bread to throw at it?
I wish I did. Next time I'm packing bread.
She's crazy. But anyways,
I
got
once
up-
went backpacking and we had a bear wander into our campsite while we were sitting there in
she
the
would be
dark.
I love it.
meanwhile, I'm trying to protect her and keep her safe, and she'd just be like, "You're in the way. The bear can't get to me."
He wants to give me a hug.
Yeah, it does want to give you a hug and see what you taste like. But anyway,
Back to that table thing. That was like I don't know. It was in the middle of the freaking night, and you were parked right behind my tent. I think we were real close, and that I heard that noise, and I'm like, I wonder what that is. And I came this close to going out and investigating, but I figured I'd come. I'll get the story in the morning. But dang, man, Caleb is a good guy. No doubt.
Yeah, that sounds like everyone was pretty much like, I'm not gonna wake up for that.
hey, real quick for the people in the chat, tonight is just a hangout. We're not talking to Mark or Alayna about anything other than we're just hanging around the campfire, talking, shooting the BS like we always do on Tuesday nights. So we do have some questions. Will, you wanna
Dave Wolf has a question.
yes, I know. That's what I'm trying to get Will to see if he wants to read any of those. Because
Well, it's to Will.
is it to Will?
Yeah.
Anyways, so Dave Wolf wants to know how about the Airbnb? Does it include a free paramotor tour of the area, and how much is it?
Yeah. I mean, if I have paramotor friends coming into town and staying in my RV, I'm gonna show them the ropes if they want. I mean, it's there as a place to stay, but like, yeah, if you're coming into town, Dave, and you want to go flying, I'll take you out to the sod farms and we'll go tour the mountains. We can do whatever.
No, Mark, man, he's got a launch from your LZ right there at your house.
If he wants to, that is his life.
I don't know how you did that, but you even put a freaking ramp down it, didn't you, to kind of like give you solid ground or something? Or was that something? Maybe I saw it somewhere else.
No, my driveway is pretty small, and I set out the wing and I back up to the edge of the cliff because the lines are long, and that's all I got. Like I have to have a strong wind, and I have to pop it up into the wind and hope it catches the wind because I can't walk backwards. I have no space. Unless I'm a little cross to the wind, then I can walk backwards, but it's hard. It has to be really windy because I'm not going to take off from there unless it's windy. I can't sink on takeoff. It has to be like a couple step takeoff for safety.
Yeah.
And it takes him like a lot of patience to get in the air.
Yeah.
A lot of
I've seen. Yeah, I mean, you were really committed to making that work. You did.
Yeah.
I've spent more time unsuccessfully launching than actually launching from there for sure. I've spent hours.
Well, it's not exactly a beginner site, but
yeah, it's not worth it. It's kind of a gimmicky site because I mean, you take off and you cannot land there no matter what. So it's just kind of more like I did it rather than I'm going to do this on the regular.
So my interest in you guys is when you guys first started. Well, Mark, you've been flying for a while. Then Alayna jumped in and started flying. The one thing, and I always tell people this every time I talk about you two, and I sound like I don't know what you want to call it, a weirdo, but I used to love listening to you guys back and forth, the positives. Lena would be like, "You got it, babe," and then you would give her a thing. I absolutely love that. And for my wife and I, we've been married. I mean, we're still newlyweds of 27 years, but I absolutely love that. And I wish I had the patience you two have with each other.
Yeah.
And so does she. Um, but I used to, I mean, are you guys going to do another video together? I'm just saying.
Maybe in time. For sure. One day.
You can say it if you're wanting to.
She's pregnant, so
I haven't really been flying much lately.
Oh, congratulations.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
My wife's in gynecology and OB, so you're in good hands if you need to be while you're doing the
cool.
show.
Yeah.
Got any random questions for her?
Me.
Dang, man, you just kind of slipped right in there. That's pretty cool.
Not for the podcast.
Gynecologist Q&A.
Yeah, no, but I miss making those videos too. So yeah,
No,
maybe one day we'll get back to 'em.
I know I'm supposed to be like a manly man and not say sensitive stuff, but I actually really enjoyed the two of you guys together, flying, going to have lunch or whatever, and then flying back. And I always enjoyed those. And I do enjoy Mark going out and doing his overnight camping thing while paramotoring. I still have not quite figured out where to go to do that, but all my gear, I mean, I can do a hammock in no time, so the gear weight is not a problem. It's just finding a place to go here in Florida.
Yeah,
it's a little bit more difficult to find a place to stay overnight.
Yeah, if you
That's
find a
why
random,
Jason had friends.
What's that, Mark?
yeah, if you find a random place that you think you can camp in Florida, it's probably most likely a farm or a swamp or something.
Yeah.
It's not like
Yeah.
the top of a bare mountain that no one owns. That's
Yeah. Which, by the way, that video was pretty phenomenal, and I'll tell you why. So my biggest worry is even that you look at the wind forecast, it's one thing at this point in time, but tomorrow morning it could be completely changed, and you're on top of a mountain. How do you? And I know you're used to flying a little bit stronger winds than most people, but that's still a little. Is there a way out if the winds got up too high? Would you be able to call somebody to come get you?
yeah, it would. I forgot
It'd be me.
Yeah, he's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
how far a drive it was from that mountain, but it would be a long day or two to come get me. But that morning, I think it was actually a little stronger than I expected, but it did make the takeoff easier. So in that instance, that's where it would be like sketchy to take a trike up there, because you'd be like, oh, I landed, it was fine, and then in the morning it's like only reversible conditions and you're stuck up there with a trike.
Do you do a retractor strike?
No, he's foot launch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He's a real pilot like me. Foot launchers like Alayna, and sometimes Will.
Hey, I was on a trike like a couple
Trikes.
days ago.
Yeah.
No, I have nothing against trikes. I'm just throwing it out there because she actually did her tandem off a trike, and
Oh, I'm not running on that. I'll trip them up.
she says she only does beer runs. That's the only running she's going to do.
No.
Yeah.
I really don't know what happened to Mark tonight.
He was having trouble with the link, so I sent him another link, and apparently he's having trouble with that link. So
Well, no, he answered you. Give him
No,
second.
that was
no, it was a different Mark.
different Mark.
Oh, really? Okay, never mind.
That was Mr. Honeycutt. You were talking
Oh.
about.
I was making fun of the other one.
I don't have any.
So, any new adventures, Mark, that you're getting ready to think about doing?
Not really. I'm going to the beach this weekend, so I'll try to fly there. But the east coast of North Carolina, but not really anything. I'm trying to sell my Revolution 200, which I think it's a pretty good deal, so hopefully it will sell. But I want to buy a top 80 with a 140 prop because an Atom 80 will not swing a 140 prop, according to Vitarazi. Maybe it will. But I want to get the top 80 140 prop with the fuel efficient float carb that they have. It's supposed to be really fuel efficient. So I want to make that my cross country machine. So I want to put that top 80 either on Andrew Fuller's Spartan, or just keep it on the long range mini plane frame.
Man, that air conception's like brand new, isn't it?
Yeah, it's less than a year old, so it still has over 2 years of warranty on it. Only has 55 hours, and I'm selling it, what did I say, like $2,300 below new or something like that?
Yeah, that should sell.
You'd think so. It's been up there for like a month.
Yeah, I've tried selling things like that too, and I guess the secret is you got to keep re-upping it and re-upping it and re-upping it. I just don't have the patience for it, just because people don't go all the way down to the bottom of pages anymore.
Well, I bet too, like it's like a seasonal thing. Like a lot of people don't like to fly in the wintertime, and then come spring, everybody's ready to buy a new paramotor and start flying again.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, I just want to point out wintertime here. Here in Florida, we've had 2 days in the 40s, I think, this past year. So we fly all the time here. But it's actually comfortable now to fly. Will did a cross country not too long ago. We're still waiting on that video.
Yeah. No, that's a great segue because Mark, I crossed the state of Florida successfully, but Mark has actually crossed the state of North Carolina, right? Long ways.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So that pales in comparison. And North Carolina is a pretty gosh darn long state. I think it's like 503 miles or something like that. It's a long freaking state.
Yeah.
So congratulations on that, dude. I don't know how you did
Thanks,
it.
yeah.
All I could do to go 160 miles.
Yeah, I got to look and see what I forget the total mileage of crossing, but I think I did 400 and the thumbnail says it. I'm going back to my thumbnail, but 455 miles in one day.
Dang, man.
In one day.
Yeah, 455 in one day. I did 725 in 2. So of course you got to have a tailwind for something like that. But
yeah, did you have a really good westerly wind?
Yeah, I kind of planned it like that. Like I've been waiting for a good west wind, and I checked one day, and I'm like, oh, that's a good wind tomorrow.
Yeah.
So Will was doing a lot of circles for his cross country. Maybe that's why, Mark, you gotta just fly in a straight line. I'm sorry, Will, you gotta fly in a straight line. That's why it took you so long.
No, my GPS kept crapping out, so I just decided I'm going to go towards the sun, and I should be okay.
Lost cell service. That's why.
Yeah, that was what he was using the cross was the cell service.
Yeah, that's right.
Speaking of cell service, I've been thinking about some options for cross country stuff. What is that? It's not like a Garmin InReach, but it's a little green box, and you can connect your phone to it. Uses the Iridium satellite network, and you can send text messages. Like it's pretty cheap. Actually, I might have it written down if you're interested in what it is. But I think it'd be good for paramotor pilots who are flying high and lose connection if they just want to if they have a reason to text someone.
Definitely. Go ahead.
So I went with Will to cross the state of Florida. It didn't work out for me too well. But I mean, honestly, with cell service as being as spotty as it was, I was following him on either Gaggle or Find My Friends or whatever. And sometimes he'd be over here and then he'd jump over probably 4 or 5 miles away from where it just showed he was. So having a good source of a good connection of some sort would be
a navigator kind of thing.
Yeah, some kind of navigation would be perfect to have because I mean, even you, Will, you ended up going off the course just a little bit.
Yeah, right next to the restricted area too. So
yeah,
So you almost went in the restricted. You said.
Well, no, that's when it crapped out. There's a little V, and I was going just under it, and successfully. And then all of a sudden, that's when that stuff started to happen. So no, I just started to head south. I knew I was heading away from it. But no, I am interested in that if you find it. You know,
It's called Zolio, and it's like it's a $200 device, and it has really good reviews. And for $20 a month, and you can turn it on and off. It's like they kind of have that, but you can send text messages and stuff. But anyways, yeah, check out Zolio. It's pretty. I think that'll be what I get for cross country, because there's a long period of time at 8,000 feet when I'm not able to like if I want to send a message, or like I want a weather update, I could just text someone and be like, hey, can you give me the METAR for this airport out in front of me? Because I'm not going to get it cell reception in order to look at those METARs. But eventually I might have Sentry and stuff like that.
That's Will for you. Will's always the internet guy.
is that it?
Yeah, that's it. And I definitely want to get it because it also has an SOS feature, kind of like a Garmin InReach. So, you crash or go down, hit the button, and a helicopter or something shows up. So it's got the SOS feature, and then you also have the text messages and phone calls.
Yeah, man. There's another thing. It's not quite as elaborate as this, and it's also a lot more expensive. I don't remember what it's called. I actually think that's a communication you can actually talk on it though, so. No, this would fit the bill that'd be perfect for a paramotor, nice and light.
So Mark, when you're doing one of these cross countries, what is your form right now of navigation?
I usually use Avare. It's an app, Avare for Android. It's not on iOS, but I plan beforehand with iFlight Planner, and then I get my route, and then I'm pretty much flying from airport to airport, or just drawing a line and following it on Avare. It's pretty simple. Like before I take off, I hard press an airport. It snaps a line. I just fly that line. Now, if you have to get more elaborate, you can snap lines elsewhere, but input.
Have you tried the Gaggle app yet?
Yeah, I have Gaggle. I've used it. I just can you navigate on Gaggle?
You can.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's what we used for me to make it all of 2.5 hours across the state of Florida, and then waved Will to keep
It was
going.
longer than 2.5 hours. We did that drive twice. It was like over 3.5 hour drive. You don't remember?
I said 2.5 hours of flight.
Oh, no, it was longer than that, wasn't it?
No, it took us 2 hours to get to Sunnyland, and then I flew for another 30 minutes and landed out.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So,
Does Gaggle have you can enter waypoints? What does it have, sectionals, and does it have satellite?
It has satellite, does not have sectionals, and you can enter waypoints.
and they're coming out with, if they haven't already started, approaching aircraft as well.
Yeah.
Well, I would probably. I don't really have good satellite tracking. The best thing for that really is ForeFlight, but I don't want to pay for that. And also, their satellite imagery is kind of older. So if Gaggle is using Google imagery or something, I can drop waypoints, and while I'm flying, I can watch myself flying across satellite imagery. That could be helpful in some instances, but most of the time, if I'm flying across North Carolina, I want to be staring at a sectional.
I agree.
After we went over to the beach and then headed back towards the west, as soon as we got back over the river, because we left out of Sebastian Airport, and then on the way back, because we wanted to technically fly over the beach on the East Coast and then fly to the West Coast. When we were on our way past the river, what were we, Will? Probably 900,000 feet when that plane went by us.
Yeah, the second plane of the day. Yeah.
Yeah, when you can literally look at the pilot and see him looking at you, that's pretty close.
James says paraglider dashboard. It's free, but only for Android devices. Wah, 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 wah.
Hey, our guest is on an Android, bro.
I'm sorry, man. It's all right. Yeah.
Let me see if I can see it.
You did have a couple other questions there, Shane. One was, pull this up. Mr. Dana 54 wants to know your opinion on the new AC Revolution. Do you have an opinion on that?
You're on mute. You're on mute, Mark Alayna.
Oh, we've been talking to
Sorry.
ourselves for 20 seconds.
All I said so far is that I really love it. I think that the throttle is a little touchy, so I wouldn't say it was like beginner friendly, the Revolution, because you definitely want to finesse the throttle, but you could also add a spring to your throttle cable so that it helped regulate that. But it has a lot of power. That's one thing I think I really like about air conception ones is they're just so quickly responsive for like powering up. Like you can just, it's like the sports car of, I mean, there's a lot of paramotors that are like sports cars, but those motors just like go 0 to 60 real quick. And I like that about them. It's like nice for when you want to climb out quick, which I really like. I feel like when I've tried an Atom 80, I always try to talk myself into really liking them. And then when I take off and you're just like slowly climbing out, that's when I don't really like them. But the Revolution's really, it's a fun motor. I like it a lot. And it sips gas.
So how does it compare to the Atom 80 as far as the fuel economy?
I'm not sure exactly how that compares it. Like, do you think?
Unfortunately, I can't compare it really yet because I haven't flown. So all my cross countries lately have been on the Revo trimmed in, and I think I was getting 4 liters an hour trimmed in. So I really need to take the Atom 80 out on the Falcon as well, so I can have the same wing and see how fuel efficient it is. But I'm assuming the Atom 80 is more fuel efficient. And
okay. That makes sense.
But I mean, I was pretty happy with the fuel consumption on the Revo. I mean, 4 liters per hour on the Falcon 20 got me 4 hours of flight on my cross countries.
For how powerful it is, it seems like it.
It's actually a really good cross country machine. I mean, like with the reserve on, I don't want to speak wrong on the weight, but I'm trying to see if I have it written down somewhere, but I think it was like, and it's on my video, like 49 pounds with the reserve. And I could be thinking about the nitro. I don't know. I need to look that up, but it's always been known as light. So it was really nice for cross countries.
Yeah. I guess that's another really big reason why I like it so much. The Revo's really powerful, and I like a powerful motor, and the weight of it is just really, it works really well for me. Like even with like a nil wind takeoff in wet grass, I can handle that. Whereas like a nil wind takeoff day with some wet grass, I cannot do a Moster. It's just a little too heavy for me to run my butt off and get a wing in the air when there's no wind.
So are you guys doing anything in June? Asking for Will? You guys
There's an awesome fly-in coming up in June. It's for the first annual fly-in for Gage fly-in, and all proceeds go to
good citizenship scholarship for a local high school here. My son lost his battle with cancer at the age of 19, so they started a scholarship in his name. So each year they give one student a year a $500 scholarship to help buy books or pay for their first couple those ridiculous classes they make you take. So we're hoping to do more than just one student a year, but it's going to be the first annual, and the field and the area is absolutely gorgeous to fly around.
Where is it?
It's in Bowling Green, Florida. It's actually like 10-15 minutes from Wauchula Airport.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
This is a county freaking airport, and they asked Shane.
No, it's a county park.
County park. What did I say?
Campground park. Airport.
Yeah, did I say airport?
Yeah.
It's a county park, and it is freaking beautiful. And the LZ, it's got 2 LZs, right?
Yes.
2 LZs. And there's like plenty of stuff to do during the day, kind of like moonshiners. You got that creek that you can go explore, and except this is a lot bigger. So
have you guys been in that creek, by the way? Like float down that creek at Moonshiners?
No, but I always hear like redneck stories of everybody in the middle of the day getting in there because
Well,
it's super hot.
Let me go ahead and tell you my redneck story with my wife. We had an air mattress that was not holding air, so we decided to use it. We pumped it up and drug it across the airstrip and went over there, and we had a 5-year-old.
Violet, Rachel.
Yeah, I had 2 adult women, myself, and a 5-year-old.
Didn't Haybell come too?
He was in the kayak.
Yeah.
So, anyways, long story short, we did that thing several times. Got a golf cart ride back to the beginning of it and did it over and over. And honestly, I know it's a creek, a ditch, whatever you want to call it, but we had a blast.
It was fun.
Yeah, it looks like a nice creek.
It's a little chilly getting into that first.
Yeah, there's the one guy who, I don't know his name.
Yeah, no, just skip over that.
He's always in the water.
There's one particular guy that was always there.
Yeah.
And he was always at the end, and I'm not sure if he wasn't actually bathing there, but it's all good.
Interesting.
I did see a bar soap, just so you know. I was like,
He found anything we lost. He was like, hey, you lost this.
yeah,
So-
he did. Every time we went down,
Yeah.
he's like, hey, did you lose a pair of glasses? Did you lose this? I'm like, no, we're all good.
Did you drop this soap?
And not the soap.
No, not the soap. He knew where that was. Are you guys going back to Moonshiners?
Yeah, we'll be. Well, I mean, most.
I don't know.
Likely.
Have they set dates for it?
I think it's the first week in August.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay, then
November.
probably. Yeah.
We
You're
usually
right
try to.
about
That's
that.
That's
one of
when
the ones we
Moonshiners
try
always
to-
is.
It's because your birthday, right?
Yes.
Okay. That's why she remembers.
Yeah, we always try to go to Bad Apples and Moonshiners because they're so
Yeah,
close.
I'm gonna try this year, but it's gonna be kind of hard because we leave, I think August 23rd or 24th to go to Ohio. We stay at a family farm, which Will's been there, and we fly from there until Thursday morning. Then we go over to Dave Purdon's and fly there till Sunday, and then head back home.
Busy month.
Moonshiners is August 1st. That's what
Okay.
James says.
Look at you, girl. Go, girl.
My camera was on there.
Yeah, I will be a beached whale at that point, but we will definitely try to be there.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting, isn't it? Gosh.
Because she's pregnant, not fat.
No, I know what she meant.
He's going to want to be in the water.
Yeah, she's gonna.
Yeah, I
actually
will
want-
get in the creek with everybody and have a redneck story.
Okay. Just got to be careful not to slip because them rocks are.
Oh yeah, those rocks are a little
Yeah.
slippery. But if you go towards what?
DPs. That's who went with us.
Yes, but
Okay.
anyways, long story short, so where the corn, I don't know what they're going to be growing this year, but where the corn was and the creek kind of turned, it's deeper there, and it was easier to get in, but just for like waiting purposes. But if you wanted to ride the little rapids, and I do mean tiny little rapids,
Yeah.
so we're all on the air mattress. We're all like
Trying to rock it. because-
trying to rock the air mattress to get over the rocks to keep going down the stream.
Yeah, every
that's my
time we
redneck
get
story.
to the fly-in, there's always like a group of guys that come up and they're like, "Have you guys gone in the creek yet?" And they got some awesome story about hanging out in the creek.
Well,
Next
some
time.
people take their
Oh,
canopies
yeah,
down
the
there.
Insta shade and their chairs and sit in
Just
the
sit
water.
down,
and-
yeah.
Oh, yeah, the whole canopy. They'll take the whole canopy down and just set it in the middle and just sit
Will,
around.
didn't you set your canopy next to the creek?
That wasn't. No, that was my wing.
Oh yeah, different canopy. Moving on.
Yeah. Saw that.
Hey man, but North Carolina is really represented tonight. Live Paramotors in the house. There was another couple of questions. Mr. Dane also Carolinian. No, it wasn't him. Dang it.
I can't see.
Oh, Tony Marzano is saying, don't y'all have school? How's that going to affect it with her being pregnant?
I pretty much stopped training because I became a loan officer, so I'm working for Nexa Mortgage. I'm just trying to sell mortgages. But it's something I can work from home. That'll be good for having a kid and whatnot. And so I don't have much training left. There's a couple people that Brooke and I took on together that, we do lifetime training. They didn't finish, so we'll finish those people out. And then we have some military that we're training in May. That's about all I have left. I'm not taking on any new students.
My I never really affected his schedule anyways, because I didn't really do the schooling. I work at the airport, and I maybe would go out every once in a while while they were training, but I didn't train people. So even if he was still doing it, I probably wouldn't have too much of effect on it.
No, I heard something. I guess there's a plane flying by or
Sorry,
something.
yeah.
Our back door is open. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I forgot what I was going to say. Something about the training. Oh, I'm just was getting away from it, and I don't know. I think it's a good decision for me. But I do wasn't super passionate about the teaching aspect of it, but I did really enjoy seeing my students down the line, their successes and stuff. Like whenever I go to fly with my old students, like say Scott or Christian or Steven, those guys always come out and fly with us now. It's just fun to see how they've progressed and how they become as pilots, and how they they do their own thing. They become their own pilots. Kind of cool to see. So I guess I'll miss that aspect of it, seeing what people become, but not so much in teaching.
I'm glad he'll have more free time this summer, because it's just very time consuming to when they have students. Like Mark would be gone from 7 a.m. until dark, and come home and eating dinner late, and then going to bed and getting up and doing it all over again. So be nice too. I think he'll have some more free time for us to do some playing and traveling and stuff.
Yeah, but Brooke's still doing it. It's still Pinnacle Paramotor, so training is still happening in the same area, just one less instructor.
Which I did tell Brooke when it was red pill paramotor that he messed up greatly. It should have been blue pill paramotor, and we get you up and keep you up. But he missed that train. Just so
is that what the blue pill was in the Matrix?
I don't think it was for that, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, his is solely solely a Matrix thing. I guess they take the red pill and then he jumps off a building and goes flying.
Oh.
Yeah. Hence red pill paramotor.
Well, congratulations, you guys, on your adding to your family. That is freaking awesome, by the way.
Thanks.
This is your first kid, correct?
Yes.
What?
That's amazing. It's the second one that'll get you, because our second one's a pain in the ass, and she won't leave the house. She's still here at 24 years old.
Awesome.
So the first one's a trick. It's a good one.
Yeah, the first one's like, oh my God, this kid's an angel.
Amazing.
Never cries, never does nothing. Just, it's awesome.
Then you do it again.
The second one comes out just nonstop.
Well, we'll see.
Never
see
slept.
I'm sure you guys will see it somehow. I'll probably always be making videos because I've had a camera in front of me since I was 10. So
yeah.
Right on, man. I'm interested in following along. I mean, as he or she, are you going to find out early, or are you going to kind of make it a surprise?
We're not going to find out at all. Well, until we have it.
But it'll be really neat to see, because you're both in flying, you both are in aviation, so that'll be interesting.
Yeah, I like that. The thought of that, of kind of having an aviation family. I always think it's so cool when you see a video, like a YouTube video or something, of this young kid that's only 16 or 18, and he's I work in the airlines, and sometimes we see pilots come through that don't even look old enough to fly commercial airliners, but when they all typically have these backgrounds of coming from families where they're well, my dad's a pilot, or my mom is a pilot or whatever it is. So I don't know. I wouldn't be upset if like our kids weren't interested in it at all. But I also do think it's cool to kind of like aviation can open so many different doors for you that aren't just like go to college, get a degree, and get a 9-to-5 job.
Right.
Yeah.
How did actually, Will, I'm going to ask you this question too. This is for all three of you. How did you guys get into paramotoring?
When I was in flight school in the Army, I was learning to fly helicopters. It was 2014, and for some reason, I had interest in paramotoring. And so, me and my buddy, he was learning to fly Apaches. I was learning to fly Blackhawks. We were searching for paramotors online. We found one on Craigslist, and the dude lived up in like Maine or something. So we were down in Florida or Enterprise, Alabama, where Army gets flight training, Fort Rucker. And we basically told this dude, hey, will you drop this paramotor off at my parents in North Carolina? So then he did. And then we went up to North Carolina and got the paramotor. And then we self-taught ourselves in some peanut fields behind our house that we were renting in Fort Rucker in the midday trying to learn to fly. I've got like a tandem paraglider above my head and this old school, like, I forgot what it was called, but it was a purple paramotor and it was old. It was great. I saw videos of all of that, and yeah, it doesn't look anything like me now. Look like we're about to die.
So you guys kind of self-trained, or you kind of trained each other? Kind of.
Yeah, I self-trained, and then in like 2018, I taught Alayna.
Yeah, we started like before we even started hanging out, we were just talking a little bit back and forth. I really think kind of like aviation is something that kind of was even a conversation starter for us because I was working at the airport and doing some traveling, and I saw Mark was flying, and I like expressed some interest in doing paramotoring. So pretty much as soon as we started hanging out, I mean, our first date, I kited. So
That's true. I was like, hey, I'm coming tomorrow. You want to learn to kite in the morning? And it was like the day before and at night. And she's like, oh, yeah, sure.
And then
Dude,
our
that
second
was an
date
awesome first date.
yeah, and our second date was bad apples.
Oh, that's a good one.
My wife has never even, I mean, she's carried my wing, but she's never kited. Do you have any wants to do that?
No.
Okay, moving on.
Good.
I'll say,
Respect.
like, I really do enjoy some. There's been like a couple times where I'm out there and I don't really feel like maybe getting all my stuff out because it's close to sunset, but Mark's got all his tandem stuff out, and I love to just like hop in the front of his trike with him and him fly me around.
Oh, you're right. You are 100% right. I've only been on 2 tandems. One was with Brooke, the other was with Brian Waller, and those were the 2 best freaking flights because it's neat to just sit there.
Yeah, it is.
Absorb it all in and see. You know what I mean? You're not paying.
Yeah. Well, and Mark does a lot more like close proximity flying than I do. Like he will get closer to trees and stuff than I do, and I really enjoy flying with him because I just get a totally different experience. Like I like trust him. He's a very skilled pilot. So I just really enjoy like I said, he'll just do closer proximity flying that I don't usually get to do just because I usually stay pretty high and just drive Miss Daisy.
And which is nothing wrong with that. No,
not at all.
I'm a close proximity flyer myself. I absolutely love wingtip touches to branches, and if there's a chance of me doing something I'm not supposed to and end up smacking the ground or the tree or whatever, it's because I was flying too close to trees. That's just gonna there's been so many times that I've just been like, that was way too close. But I absolutely love it. I love my feet to touch the tree branches just as I'm going over or whatever, and see how close I get my wingtip to the tree leaves. And I don't know, that's just the way I like to fly.
Yeah.
I can't tell my wife that though, 'cause she'll be mad.
I think she's sitting right next to you.
Don't let one of those leaves reach out and grab you.
No, I'm telling you, it's at some point it's gonna be one of those eye openers, and hopefully it's not a bad eye opener. It's just one of those, okay, that actually grabbed me, but I let go, thank God, and I fly back and realize I need to stop that nonsense.
Have you landed with some tree branches in your net?
No, I've taken off because I fly out of the compound a lot. So there's all kind of stuff. You lay your wing out in a perfectly nice little area, and you take off, and there's 4 or 5 twigs hanging from all your lines. You're like, okay, that's cool. So as long as it ain't affecting my wing, I'll keep on flying. Will, how'd you get into paramotoring, Will?
I have a background in aviation, and the previous job I had before, real estate stuff was was the chief flight instructor at the aviation airport, the Asheville airport. And you can only, as a pilot, once you're a pilot, you're always a pilot. And you can only go through so many days of just watching planes fly. It's a beautiful day or it's a beautiful evening. It's just like, I wanted to get back into it, but I did not want to instruct. And I completely get where you're coming from, Mark. I mean, it's not as easy as it sounds to instruct. So, especially because you're trying to teach a feeling, which is extremely difficult to teach, So anyways, I started out with drones. I thought maybe that would scratch the itch, and I played with that, and it worked for a little while, but it still, I wanted to fly. I personally wanted to fly. So like many other people, I saw the famous McDonald's video, and it was actually it came across on a little side panel on YouTube, and I saw the thumbnail, and I'm like, that's not real. There's no freaking way. I thought it was clickbait, right? But I clicked on it, and that's pretty much all she wrote. I mean, I went all in.
Well, yeah. For me, it was me. I had some property down south of where I live now, and I was sitting in my tree stand hunting, and some guy flew over in one of these. I went home, and this is how long ago it was. I went home and turned on my computer, went to the dial-up internet, and looked at pictures. I'm not kidding. This is no exaggeration. I literally had to wait for the download of the photos and the web page and all that stuff. And I was actually looking at the fixed wing, like the hang glider with the prop on the back of where you sit in it. And
it was when our kids were
little. Our kids were just tiny, still in like diapers. And it was just too expensive at the time. So over time I've been flying over 3 years now. So it's been that long before it took me to get into flying. But I got over 400 flights, 250 hours on my motor, and been loving it ever since.
Nice. Yeah. And speaking of that instruction thing, Will, you mentioned why you get you don't want to instruct. It was similar in the Army. Usually a helicopter pilot tracks something like instructor pilot or maintenance test pilot or blah, 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 whatever. I never wanted to be an instructor pilot, but I really enjoyed just flying with other PIs or pilots and just having a chill cockpit. And if they wanted to learn something, I'd lend them some advice or whatever, but I was never super pushy, or I don't know, maybe I just never had that instructional mindset. And then when I started doing Pinnacle Paramotor, it was good and all, but just like Austin said in the comments, once you start instructing, the sport really isn't as fun. Well, I love to fly, so every good weather day was filled with teaching people. So
yeah, that's it. You can't fly yourself, right?
Right.
When I was getting to fly, it was all right, well, we can't teach them after sunset, so let me get that last 30 minutes, or I'm going to fly midday, which was fine. I mean, I was flying in riskier conditions because that's the time I had, or wake up super early before training to do it. So you don't really have your own time frame in terms of flying, unless you don't have a class. But the way we did things with people having lifetime training is if they want it finished, they basically get to come back any time, any day the weather's good. So that would take away from my flying days. So
yeah. So you fly midday often. For a pilot that's, let's say for myself, over 3 years of flying, how would you suggest them? I mean, I've only flown midday a couple times, and it was complete overcast, and might as well have just been the first 30 minutes of morning, or it was butter smooth. But when we did this cross country, I hit some pretty. Oh, I got this is a great question. Two-part question. How do you teach, or how do you give advice to somebody who wants to fly midday in rougher conditions? And is it better to fly trims out or trims in rougher conditions?
I'd say trimmed in, and then I would also say like you wanna study weather, like maybe some paragliding books about flying midday, maybe watch a lot of videos, reach out to an instructor and see what they have to say. But I mean, you want to pick the right days, because if you pick some gusty midday, you're not going to be super happy.
Right.
But there's also all kinds of surprises out there, like dust devils and stuff. So depending on your terrain, but you just need to study up on it and talk to someone that knows enough about it.
I just get freaked out when the wing does the whole, let's say the left side goes forward, the right side goes back, and then it does this back and now you're having to let up on one side and pull brake on the other. Dude, I'm like, all right, this is too confusing. I know I'm only at 1,000 feet, but I haven't looked at the ground in 10 minutes, but I'm pretty sure I'm still there because I'm fighting the wing the entire time. I'm like, it's not comfortable. Like I'm okay with some uncomfortableness, but when I have to constantly battle,
Active fly.
yes, active fly or the fight with the wing, I would rather just land and be done with it for the day.
Yeah, you have to have a certain comfort level, like your bump tolerance. People talk about that. You definitely have to build up your bump tolerance. You don't want to just like have a crappy bump tolerance and then one day be like, I'm gonna fly midday, because then it's like you're going from 0 to 100 pretty darn quick. And
Right.
so I kind of get comfortable. I'm just like getting bobbed around, but I know what I can take, and it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I did an SIV course that was fine, but it's just that you're flying along, everything's good, and all of a sudden you are getting thrashed around. You're like, how do you correct this quick enough so it's not a problem? That's just a question for myself, because it's literally just what I do the entire time I'm flying. It's not comfortable. I'm like, it's not that I'm scared. It's the work in the wing and fighting it the entire time. It's a pain in the butt for me.
Yeah, I guess an example would be like when I flew back from North Carolina, or any time during that, and I'm flying midday, I sometimes take an extra risk and trim out during that. I mean, you're less prone to collapses, but it's going to be a lot worse if it does collapse. But I just sit there and let the Gin Falcon take it. I mean, it did. I've only had a collapse once on the Gin Falcon. It was flying on the backside of a mountain on the lee side of a mountain in South Korea. So, I mean, it takes mostly everything. If it's bad enough to like really crumble up and send you to the ground, you probably shouldn't be flying.
I agree. Hey, we got like 3 minutes and we still have some questions. I'd like.
All right, well, let's hit it. Hit it.
Okay, so Shane's Planet Shane, this is just a statement. My AC was similar, lots of snap of the throttle. So he was just.
I have seen somebody add a spring to that throttle cable so that when you squeeze it, it's much more like regulated and not so snappy. So if you can if you're good at MacGyvering your own paramotor, I think you could just add a spring to it if you didn't want it as snappy, and then it would be more beginner friendly too.
Cool. Yeah, going from 0 to 100. That's probably. Okay, so Daniel Rue says that he uses the Spot GPS, and he says you can send text. So
yeah, I'll check it out. I actually opened a tab on it, but I'll check it out.
And then James is asking, what's the best, I think it's flying motor setup that you like, Mark and Alayna, with the 185, not the Atom 80?
I think he mentioned the McFly in that one, and I sold it, and it was an awesome contraption. But yeah, I'd agree that honestly the McFly, and we didn't even sell McFly. We could never really get a hold of them, or I couldn't. And I didn't want to step on any toes, other people around here. But the McFly is awesome. Like those carbon fiber spars, the offset engine. You literally, like, when you hit full power, you don't turn left or right. It was like amazing torque compensation. And
yeah.
So like when you're close to the ground, you want to do a full power turn right or a full power turn left. It doesn't matter. There's like nothing opposing it. It was it was a pretty well-tuned motor. I mean, you had the swing arm torque compensation, the engine was offset, and you also had those carbon fiber splinters.
Yeah, I sometimes forget how much I really liked that motor. I would have liked to have it with a lighter version. I want Fitarazzi to come out with something in between an Atom 80 and a Moster. Like that would be perfect. But yeah, the MacFly that's got to be one of the best paramotors on the market.
Yeah,
it's
that was
really great.
That was a good one. But I do have my Fly products with the Factory R Moster 185 now, and I really like the Fly products rider. That's a really great frame.
Cool. Yeah, I've often said if they sold an Atom 185, I would buy it immediately. You know, I want with the Atom 80, you know, the easy on the fuel, but I got to have that power. You know,
Atom 125.
Yeah, something right in between. It doesn't even have to be as powerful as the 185, but lightweight and just a little bit more powerful than the Atom 80. The Atom 80, honestly, like, it's great, and I know it's good for so many people, and every time I try to convince myself to like it, I can't. And it's just because I just like a little more power for climbing out.
Because you've had a taste of that power, and you don't want to get
it's hard to go back.
And the last thing is that Austin from Lip Paramotor is saying that talking about flight instruction, he says, and it's not just that. Your priorities change, your interactions with the community changes, it all changes. So it's hard to just go out and, you know, have a good time.
Yeah, honestly, it was there's drama all the time. And I mean, that's from people I've never met, that's from the landowners, that's from my flying club, that's from my friends now. It's hard to just throw a flight school in the midst of a place that's like been regularly just recreationally flown. It's a lot of diplomacy, and if you don't use diplomacy, you ruin it. So it's hard.
Well, Mark and Alayna, I would like to thank you for coming on tonight. Where can we find you on social media, YouTube, whatever you want to put out there? You got anything?
Just Mark Honeycutt YouTube. That's basically it.
Alrighty.
You have an Instagram.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, Alayna. What was it? You got an Instagram?
It's just Mark and Alayna. If any,
Okay.
like for people who do Instagram, I post on there every once in a while.
All right.
Cool.
And Mr. Will, where can we find you, sir?
You can find me YouTube under Will Fly or online at willflyppg.com.
And you guys can find me here at Never Trust a Skinny Chef Shane or TikTok at ppgshane.com. Mark and Alayna, if you guys give me just 2 minutes, or actually 45 seconds, and then we'll be right back after the show, which is not an after show. It's just me saying bye to you guys. So just hold on 1 second.
I've got a lot to say, can't hold it in this time, got no